In the heart of London, a formidable fortress stands sentinel over centuries of secrets. Within its cold stone walls, one of history's most enduring and chilling mysteries unfolded.
A tale of two young princes, brothers heirs to the throne, disappeared inside the walls of the Tower of London, never to be seen again, their fate forever lost to the shadows of power.
Their fate has haunted Britain for over 500 years. Were they murdered, hidden, silenced by power?
But now, new evidence has emerged, and it might finally crack open the mystery.
Welcome back to The Curious Past. I'm Shan.
And I'm Danny. Today we're pulling back the curtains on the story of the princes in the tower, heirs to a kingdom and victims of a power struggle that would haunt England for generations.
In addition, we'll bring you extraordinary new evidence, a fresh clue unearthed after centuries that might just shed a sliver of light on their tragic disappearance. So let's jump right into it.
The year is 1483. England is still reeling from the Wars of the Roses, a brutal dynastic conflict. When King Edward IV, head of the House of York, unexpectedly dies, his young son, Edward V, just 12 years old, becomes king. His younger brother, Richard, Duke of York, is only 9.
The boys were under the care of their uncle, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, who had been named protector of the realm by his dying brother.
Initially, Richard rode with young Edward V and his 9-year-old brother, Prince Richard, to London, seemingly fulfilling his duty to escort the new king to his coronation.
But the political landscape was treacherous. Gloucester, a formidable and ambitious figure, quickly moved to consolidate his power.
He intercepted the boys' escorts, arrested key supporters of their mother Elizabeth Woodville, and ensured both the young princes were housed in the Tower of London. Ostensibly, this was for their safety, a traditional lodging for monarchs before their coronation.
Yet, as days turned into weeks, the coronation was continually postponed. The boys remained confined, their access to the outside world increasingly restricted, public appearances ceased, and a chilling silence descended upon their fate within the tower's walls.
By late summer, the princes were no longer seen, no announcements, no funerals, just silence.
Rumors spread. Had they died of illness? Had they been moved in secret? Or had they been murdered?
And if they had been killed, who gave the order?
After a few fleeting sightings in the tower, the boys simply vanished from public view. No one outside a very small circle ever saw them again.
The prevailing theory, especially propagated by later Tudor historians like Thomas More, was that they were murdered on Richard III's orders.
Thomas More's account, written decades later, explicitly implicated Sir James Tyrell, a loyal servant of Richard III, as the orchestrator of the murder.
More claimed Tyrell confessed to smothering the boys with pillows. While many historians have dismissed More's account as Tudor propaganda designed to demonize Richard III and legitimize the Tudor dynasty that usurped him, the mystery of the boys' disappearance has endured for over 5 centuries.
Regardless, on June 26, 1483, Richard, Duke of Gloucester, took the throne himself, becoming King Richard III.
He did so by declaring his nephews illegitimate, alleging that Edward IV's marriage was invalid. With Richard now king, the young princes became an inconvenient and dangerous loose end.
However, in 1485, King Richard III died in battle. A new king, Henry VII, rose, marrying the prince's sister to secure his reign. But even with Richard's death and the rise of the Tudor dynasty, the mystery didn't die with him. No bodies were found, no confession ever surfaced. The princes were simply gone. Over time, their story blurred into legend, a grim fairy tale locked inside the tower's stone walls. But history, it seems, still had one more secret to reveal.
Now, an extraordinary new piece of evidence uncovered at the National Archives offers a fresh and tantalizing clue.
Professor Tim Thornton from the University of Huddersfield embarked on a meticulous search through 16th century documents, specifically looking for any mention of the young prince's possessions. As he noted, their belongings seemed to have vanished just as completely as they did.
Then he found it in 2024, tucked away in a registry copy of the 1516 will of Lady Margaret Capel, the half-sister of Sir James Tyrell's wife Anne, was a startling entry.
The will states, "I bequeath to my son Sir Giles, his father's chain, which was yon cane Edward V."
Translation: I leave to my son the chain which belonged to young King Edward V.
Wait, what? How did a relative of the man accused of killing Edward end up with his personal jewelry?
This essentially meant that Lady Margaret Capel was bequeathing a chain that belonged to the elder prince Edward V to her son Sir Giles.
This isn't just a royal trinket. This is a personal possession, something close to the young king, something that shouldn't have left the tower, unless
someone took it from him after he died, or unless it was handed over by someone who wanted it to disappear quietly.
Why would Lady Capel, whose family was tied to James Tyrell, even mention the prince by name decades later? Why not just say an old chain? Why that specific detail?
It suggests the chain's origin was known and important enough to preserve in writing.
A chain like that would only survive if it was cherished, or if someone was trying to cover something up.
As Sean Cunningham, head of collections at the National Archives, commented, Margaret's reference to a chain once owned by the uncrowned teenage King Edward V is a new piece of evidence that raises more questions than it answers.
Edward had vanished from public view within the tower in the summer of 1483, some 33 years before this will was even written.
This discovery doesn't definitively solve the mystery of the princes in the tower. The debate over Richard III's guilt or innocence will undoubtedly continue.
But what it does offer is a tangible link, a physical object connecting the last known possession of the lost prince directly to the family of his alleged murderer.
Does this prove Tyrell murdered the princes? Not exactly, but it strengthens the link between Tyrell's household and Edward V's final moments.
Maybe the chain was a trophy, maybe a keepsake, but either way, this is the first solid clue in centuries tied directly to one of the boys.
If Tyrell did carry out the murders, this could be the missing thread that ties him to the crime.
The tower still holds its secrets, no bones, no confession, no certainty.
But one thing is clear, these weren't just forgotten boys. They were pawns in a brutal power struggle and victims of an empire's silence.
The fate of the princes in the tower remains one of British history's most enduring enigmas. Were they murdered by their uncle Richard III, or did another hand commit the deed? Or did they somehow survive, their existence hidden in the tumultuous years that followed?
This extraordinary new evidence, a simple chain passed down through a family linked to the very heart of the mystery, deepens the intrigue. It forces us to reconsider the threads of evidence, making us wonder if the truth, however unsettling, might still be waiting to be fully unearthed.
And now, centuries later, a single line in a forgotten will might be the whisper that brings their story back to life.
Perhaps, piece by piece, the curious past will finally reveal its grim truth.
Do you think Richard III killed the princes, or was someone else behind it?
Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like the video, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more strange stories from the shadows of history.
Until next time, stay curious.